On today's show, after a loss in game one of the regular season, Spencer Carberry shakes the lineup to hope to jumpstart the offense. What will it look like versus the Golden Knights? I'll discuss next on this edition of Locked On Capitals.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms, including the SiriusXM app and on YouTube. And I want to thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minutecast, available wherever you find your podcasts. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Caps. And the best way that you can help grow the show is to subscribe to Locked On Capitals on YouTube and comment anything down below. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, after a loss in game one and a deplorable third line for the Capitals, Spencer Carberry shook up the offensive lines at Monday's practice. What will it look like versus the Golden Knights Tuesday night? I'll talk about that a little bit later. I will talk about injured blue liner Matt Roy. How much time is he going to miss, and who's ultimately going to be in the lineup in his absence? I'll talk about that. And then in the final segment, I'll talk about Logan Thompson facing his former team. But just to get it going here, talking about Spencer Carberry being proactive, he had seen enough. After game one, he is ready to shake it all up, and he did that. And in case you're thinking to yourself, well, he plans to shake up just the third line, quite the contrary, as I think we will see quite a bit of difference out on the ice Tuesday evening as the Capitals take on the Golden Knights. And I think it's important, as I think some things worked out on the ice for the Capitals versus the Devils. I still think that a lot needs to change, and so does Spencer Carberry, as was evident what we saw on the ice at practice on Monday. But change is what was needed, and the Capitals are implementing significant lineup changes after their season-opening loss to the New Jersey Devils. Head coach Spencer Carberry made major adjustments during Monday's practice session. And, you know, there is the possibility that he could change things between now and Tuesday evening. But I think what we saw out on the ice Monday lends me to believe that it'll look quite a bit different. According to Tarek El-Bashir, Alexander Ovechkin has been shifted to the right wing, and Aliaksei Protas has taken Andrew Mangiapane's place on the top line alongside Dylan Strome. So I definitely did not see that in the mix. Aliaksei Protas taking on Mangiapane's place on the top line with Dylan Strome. So it is going to be a lot different look, and the biggest thing of note there is Alex Ovechkin playing on the right wing. So they definitely want to give the Golden Knights a different look. And I think that, you know, as far as Alex Ovechkin is concerned, he was involved physically. But what I've heard quite a bit from fans, and I noticed myself, is that he wasn't as engaged, and he didn't score goals. And I don't think it was a horrible game for Alex Ovechkin. I think that Spencer Carberry, I think that the coaching staff wants to see more from him. It's good that you're putting in the physical game, but ultimately Ovechkin's bread and butter is finding the back of the net. Ovechkin's move to the right side doesn't come as a complete surprise, as Carberry had previously mentioned the potential for Ovechkin to switch from his usual left wing position at some point during the season. Different looks. Let's give the opposition a little different look. The netminder, who's always kind of preparing for that shot from the left dot, Alex Ovechkin's office, Maybe not this time. It's going to be a lot different, or I think we know for sure it's not going to be this time. Now, to be fair here, I think that Spencer Carberry is going to look and see what works out on the ice. Is there any traction with these changes? And if he sees steps backward or he doesn't see it living up to what he had hoped, he could change it up during the game. But I think that that is what we're going to see. And seeing Ovechkin on that top line right wing is quite a bit different. It's interesting to see what he saw in Aliaksei Protas and what he was looking for to give him quite a promotion to that top line. The thing that I mentioned, and should come as no surprise, is Jakub Vrana. Jake the Snake is set to replace Sonny Milano and join the third line playing alongside Mangiapane and Hendrix LaPierre. This change comes after the third line allowed 3 goals in the first 3 shifts and was subsequently benched against the Devils. So the fourth line stays the same, but quite a promotion for Aliaksei Protas. Again, it's interesting that we talked about what was leading up to the season and how we had it all laid out, and there's already changes going into game 2. So one of the things that I know for sure is that they're going to mix and match until they find the lineup that works. Spencer Carberry has some more tools in his tool set. I'm talking Pierre-Luc Dubois, Andrew Mangiapane, Chychrun, Roy, these different players that he doesn't have to set anything out and go, nope, I'm just going to go with this. And I'm digging my heels in. He's all ready to make things a lot different in game number 2. I like his proactive approach. Is ultimately it was not getting the traction that the Capitals had hoped for. And Jakub Vrana, that seems like a no-brainer to me. I think that they did the right thing by giving Sonny Milano that first start just based on his time with the team and the other reasons listed. But I think it's a worthwhile thing to get a look at Jakub Vrana and see what he has. We saw him light it up during the preseason, in preseason games at the camp, that kind of thing. But let's see if that translates on the big stage. I understand he's no rookie, but let's see if he's a changed player and if he can ultimately help the Capitals win games. And one of the things that Spencer Carberry said before the start of the season is it's going to be goal scoring by committee. He doesn't see one line out there scoring 100 goals in one season. What he sees is the goal scoring spread up and down the lineup. Some teams have that, but the truly great ones, I'm talking the Rangers, that come to mind last season in the playoffs, that was evident that they had goal scoring up and down the lineup. The truly great teams aren't reliant on 1 or 2 players or one line in particular to get the goal scoring done. So I think that, moving Mangiapane around, moving Ovechkin around, PLD, no doubt at some point, putting Jakub Vrana in there, let's see what ultimately works. And I like Spencer Carberry's approach that he is not too stuck in his ways, that no, this is how I laid it out. I'm going to go with that. Let's see how it works. The Vegas Golden Knights are a good team, and I think it's going to be difficult on the Capitals yet again. So the Capitals got off to an interesting position where they had a week off between their last preseason game and the first game of the regular season. They have one game under their belt. Let's hope that they can find their way early, that there's not these missed assignments that Tom Wilson talked about, and this and that and the other thing, that we don't want to cut the team too many excuses. I don't want to be too difficult on them, but at the end of the day, they had preseason games. Let's hope the rubber meets the road and the Capitals can pick up a big win versus the Golden Knights. All right, so coming up here after the break, we'll talk about Matt Roy, that big blue liner that the Capitals picked up in the offseason, signed a 6-year contract with the Capitals and gets injured in the first game. Tell me there's better news. I'll try to do that straight ahead. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And listen, there is a lot of football being played on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday, and some of those games you're into. Say it's a Commanders game, or say it's a Ravens game, but maybe it's a weekend and there's not a lot of teams playing that you're interested in. Open up the FanDuel app, put a little bit of money on the game. all of a sudden those games got that much more exciting. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Make sure and join the Locked On Capitals Insiders, as there will be exclusive video, short form podcasts, and other insider information. Just follow the link in the show description. All right, in this next segment here, we're going to talk about the injury to Matt Roy and what that means for the Capitals. And it's one of the things that's rearing its ugly head already. Injuries, stay away injuries, not right now. It's already happening to the Capitals. And to be fair, it's not just the Capitals. Injuries are a common occurrence in all major sports, in the NHL and the Capitals in particular. But it seems to be a little bit early, isn't it? As there was a lot of hopes, a lot of plans for Matt Roy on this team, a guy that was going to alleviate some of the pressure off John Carlson. So John Carlson wasn't going to have to play 25 to 30 minutes a night. And what happens is he faces and is inflicted with a lower body injury in the first game of the regular season. As of right now, that's all we know. That's all they're going to divulge, is that it is a lower body injury. So how long do we look to be without Matt Roy? And what does that mean for these depth moves, these extra skaters for the Capitals on the blue line? Well, there is word from Spencer Carberry today talking about the injury. And it's a bit vague, as injury news usually is they don't usually like to say exactly what the injury is. They like to keep it vague by saying lower body injury. But talking about Matt Roy's injury and absence, the Capitals are expecting defenseman Matt Roy to be out for more than just one game. That's not great news. Is there any silver lining in that? Despite being listed as day-to-day, unfortunately, defenseman Roy is expected to be sidelined for a while due to a lower body injury, as confirmed by head coach Spencer Carberry. Carberry mentioned that although the absence won't be excessively long, it will still be a significant period of time. Roy sustained the injury during the second period of the Capitals season opener against the Devils. Despite not returning to the ice after playing for just 8 minutes and 39 seconds and taking 2 shots on goal, he managed to register a -2 rating in his Capitals debut. Roy, who recently signed that 6-year contract with the Capitals, plays a crucial role alongside Martin Fehervary on the team's second defensive pairing, specializing in a shutdown role. And that's what Roy is. He is not the guy that has the offensive flair. He will score a goal here and there. He's primarily a stay-at-home defenseman, a guy that doesn't necessarily get involved in scoring too much. That's not his bread and butter. That's more of a Chychrun thing. So who is the replacement? And if there is a silver lining, sometimes you have to look for it. It is that it does appear that Dylan McIlrath will be in the lineup versus the Golden Knights. Now, what do we know? Alexei is also a possibility after this game. I guess it depends on what Dylan brings and who the upcoming opponent is. But what we know right now is that the big, rugged defender, Dylan McIlrath, captain of your Hershey Bears, is going to be the guy versus the Golden Knights. I, for one, am really excited about this, as I have been singing the praises of Dylan McIlrath for quite some time. To see what he has against a big opponent at 6'5", the right-handed defenseman, to partner with Fehervary and fill that gap. Again, in this game, I guess it remains to be seen after that. The rest of the defensive pairings will remain unchanged, with Alexei serving as the extra defenseman. McIlrath secured a spot on the NHL opening night roster following an impressive training camp, marking his first time making a team out of camp in 8 years. So quite some time, a long time coming for a guy that never lost focus and had faith in himself, had high hopes being in the NHL, getting sent down to the AHL, never getting, too down on your luck, and thinking to yourself, one day I'm going to get my opportunity and I'm going to make the most of it. And the good thing I like about Dylan is that he understands his role. He knows that he is out there to be that grit, that muscle, that deterrent And that is ultimately why he's at where he's at right now. And in a lot of ways, to kind of take some of that pressure off Tom Wilson. So he doesn't necessarily have to be that tough guy, that junkyard dog, that he can do what he does best and score goals. Now, we'll never take the physicality out of Tom Wilson's game, but to have someone like Dylan McIlrath out there, I think that just alleviates some of that pressure. The Capitals will resume play on Tuesday against the Golden Knights, with McIlrath making his season debut. So excitement abounds to see what he has in the tank out on the ice. I expect him to bring the pain, to bring the physicality. Ultimately, that is what we want from him. In a lot of ways, I don't know when the opportunity would have been for Dylan McIlrath to make his first debut playing on the Capitals on the big team this season, shall we say. So it's an exciting thing to think about, to see what he has. Again, if we take a look at what he meant for the Capitals last season, that is ultimately what got him right here, right now, is that he had a call up late in the season and played in the playoffs there, and he played so well that the coaching staff was like, we like that. We want to see a longer look if he does a really good job in camp. And surprise, surprise, surprise to no one, he did just that. So it's going to be interesting to see that physicality on display out on the ice for the Capitals. So if there's any tough guys from the Vegas Golden Knights that want to step up, they're going to have to try to get past McIlrath and face the ire that is Dylan. And, it's not just the physicality. I don't want to pigeonhole him as a one-trick pony. He's brought here with his leadership qualities as well. They don't put a C on your chest for the Hershey Bears just because you're a tough guy, because you're a good blue liner. They ultimately are looking to him because he's experienced, he's been there, he's done that. And to a certain extent, I think he can mentor some of those younger players, primarily on the blue line, to show what it's like to be a great blue liner in the NHL. So it's going to be exciting to see what he has in store. For one, I am already really excited about this game. I was excited anyway, but to get a good look at Dylan McIlrath on the big team in the regular season this season, I want to see what it looks like. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, we'll talk about Logan Thompson as he prepares to take on his former team. He shot some shots sarcastically towards his former team. What is that going to look like out on the ice? And is he going to be that brick wall in net for the Capitals Tuesday night? I'll break it all down coming up. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping foot outside of your door. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments and like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The product mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required prices varies based on product and subscription plans. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So the net minding situation was all laid out for me this past summer. I knew who was going to be in net. It was going to be Charlie Lindgren, and at long last, it was going to be Hunter Shepard, Shep Daddy's time to shine. Oh, but wait, Dan. What did we know is that former GM Brian McClellan had a trick up his sleeve. He traded for and acquired Logan Thompson to help bolster the Capitals in net. And at the time, I was scratching my chin and just trying to rack my brain. Why did the Capitals want to bring in Logan Thompson when they had a guy like Hunter Shepard or even Clay Stevenson in-house? It all makes sense the more I had time to mull it all over. That, you take a look at Charlie Lindgren last season. He was really good last season. Is that sustainable? And the season before that, he was really good in the month of December. What kind of Charlie Lindgren were we going to get in the 24-25 season? We could cross our fingers and toes and hope that he can find his way yet again. But if not, that was going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on Hunter Shepard or Clay Stevenson. So what did BMAC do? He had the ability to take a look at the Capitals from a 30,000-foot view, widen the lens a little bit and say, hey, why not? Let's prepare for the worst case scenario. And let's have 2 netminders on this team for under $2 million. He did just that. And the interesting thing for the Capitals is that both Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren are entering into contract years. Oh, but the plot thickens. So is Hunter Shepard. Who is going to be that guy that gets the extension? I don't think that both Charlie and Logan are going to get that extension. It's much too early to say which one it is. I think that it's going to be Logan, of course, or Charlie, but not both. And where does that leave Hunter Shepard? I guess, I've always had high hopes from him, but at the end of the day, is that his ceiling? Is just the AHL? There has been no teams to scoop him up thus far, even though he hit the waiver wire, even though he was the number 1 netminder in all of the American Hockey League last season. He still is on the Hershey Bears. So a lot of questions remain in net for the Capitals, and Logan Thompson is going to get his first opportunity on the Capitals during the regular season to say, hey, take notice. If you're giving anyone an extension, it's going to be this guy right here because I play that great. And I definitely think that is a plausible thing to happen in the future, that I think that Logan Thompson could be that guy to get the extension. Getting way ahead of myself as we're entering into just the second preseason game. But what we saw from Logan Thompson in the preseason, color me impressed. Now, if he could pick up a huge win against the Vegas Golden Knights, that would even be better. But excitement abounds in a couple of regards. I get a chance to see McIlrath and a chance to see Logan Thompson. It's going to be must-see TV for me, for the Capitals, and it should be for you as well. Not just those 2 reasons, but those are the 2 things that have me really keyed up. Logan Thompson's debut for the Caps. Logan Thompson is set to make his season debut in goal for the Caps against his former team, the Golden Knights. This will be his first time since being traded to the Capitals from the Golden Knights 3 months ago on draft day. Thompson expressed his excitement about making his debut in the Caps jersey and contributing to securing a win for the team, while emphasizing that his main focus is on making a strong start for his team. Let's not start playing head games and start thinking to myself, I'm going to really show you, Vegas Golden Knights. That's when failure is going to come. Go out there and play your game. What got you right here, right now? That's what we want to see. Let's not get in there and say, I'm going to shut him out or I'm going to do anything like that. Just go about your business. Head coach Spencer Carberry echoed Thompson's eagerness for the beginning and highlighted the importance of maintaining a level-headed approach. That is what makes a really great netminder great, is having that level-headed approach. Talking about Logan Thompson's career and achievements, Thompson played for the Golden Knights for 4 seasons and was a part of the team's Stanley Cup winning squad in 2023. Although he was unable to participate in the postseason due to a lower body injury, he represented Vegas in the 2023 All-Star Game and achieved a record of 14-5 in 46 starts during his final stint with Vegas, maintaining a .908 save percentage and a 2.70 goals against average. Thompson's tenure with the Golden Knights concluded amidst challenges as general manager Kelly McCrimmon disclosed that Thompson had sought a trade to secure a more prominent role elsewhere. Thompson confirmed that his previous comment about Vegas' defense-oriented style of play was just made as a joke and expressed admiration for the Golden Knights and McCrimmon. He said somewhat to the effect of that the Vegas Golden Knights like to take credit for all the netminders. Like, it's not just them. It's the defense. I think that, he was half kidding and half telling the truth. I think this is going to bring out the absolute best out of Logan Thompson. Talking about his relationship with the Golden Knights, of course, Thompson expressed gratitude for his time with VGK and being a Stanley Cup champion as a result. He emphasized his strong rapport with Kelly McCrimmon and his enthusiasm about his current situation with the Capitals. Thompson clarified that seeking a different opportunity early in his career led him to request a trade, but he remains immensely grateful for his time with the Golden Knights. A good attitude. I think that the Golden Knights have been kind of a charm team ever since their existence, making it to the playoffs, Stanley Cup runs, winning a Stanley Cup, those kind of things that, hey, they really hit the ground running. In a lot better position than the Kraken, I got to say. So sometimes you think to yourself, and I think that a lot of Kraken fans probably thought to themselves, hey, it's just going to be a carbon copy. We're both going to be great. As it turns out, having a great GM and getting some great players around you plays a huge role. So I think that it is going to bring out the best in Logan Thompson facing his former team with, let's be honest here, is a pretty good team. It is who the Capitals faced in 2018 in the Stanley Cup, and fond memories of that whole run and thinking at that time how it seemed insurmountable. I think it's not just going to be Logan Thompson. I think that there is something with the remaining Capitals players. I'm talking Ovechkin and Carlson and Wilson, these kind of players, that it's extra sweet when they get an opportunity to play the Vegas Golden Knights. Even though it goes all the way back to 2018, my how time flies, I still think in their heart of hearts, it still rings true that is the team that got us over the hump to be Stanley Cup winners, and they were the victorious ones. It was no lost lovers scorn where they lost in the Stanley Cup. They had to go through the Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup, and they did just that. And they'll get another opportunity to relive and reminisce. And Logan Thompson, it's going to be a really special evening for a lot of different players, and us fans will benefit from that. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals. And I told you about that I want to hear your comments about the Capitals and what you thought in the first game. And am I being too hard on them at the end of the day? I did get one comment from Gil, and this was his thought.
Hey, Dan, this is Gil, the Blue Liner on Point from the Power Play Point podcast. Last night's game, despite the loss, had a lot of good things in it, a lot of things to like. You saw Dubois step up and play a physical game when he needed to. 3 out of the 4 lines, I think, played really well. Concern, of course, about the Roy injury, but the Caps were never really out of this game. I think it's just a continuing byproduct of having a lot of new faces, working with all new line combinations up and down. And I'm trusting the coaching staff to pinpoint the weakness and continue to work on it. The key here is that, unlike last year, it's not going to take them upwards of 25 to 30 games or more to find their identity. I think they found it. I think they know what their weaknesses are, and it's just a matter of getting more playing time with everybody. And that's really going to be it. Within 10 games, I think you're going to see the real Capitals and have a better idea of what this team is capable of.
All right, and thank you, Gil, for your comments.
Hey, Dan,
Optimism.
Gil,
Let's not get let's not jump to conclusions too early, thinking that things are down and out. It was one game, and I agree with Gil's thoughts there. That all things considered, it wasn't a horrible game, but the Capitals could have played a lot better. Would you like your voicemails on this show? Just follow the link in the show description. I want to hear your thoughts on the Capitals. Of course, keep it clean and keep it somewhat short. I want to hear your thoughts on the Capitals season and what can we expect from the Capitals. I want to hear your thoughts. All right. Once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.